Hey there! Today we are cooking with green beans, carrots, lemon, dill, and salmon. On this episode of What Do You Make of This, we're making a steamed salmon and vegetable dinner that will not use a single pot. Of all of the recipes I know, this dish might be the fastest, easiest meal I know how to cook. One of the great things about it is it actually uses foil. So you can make enough for one person or 100 people. And because it's all cooked in individual foil packets, you don't even dirty any pots or pans. It is a great, great meal to have in your toolbox. And it's so easy that if you can slice a lemon, you can make this dinner. So, as mentioned, this lemon is the only prep work we have to do for this meal. I'm going to use it in two different ways. So I'm going to begin by just slicing the lemon in half. And for half of the lemon, I'm going to cut it into some rings. And I'm gonna do the rings fairly thick, slightly thicker than just the width of my knife here. Basically what we're going to do is use these little rings of lemon, and it's going to season both the vegetables and the salmon while they all cook at the same time. This is a great multitasker. I'm just going to leave this little bit off to the side though, because it's not really gonna serve a purpose for this meal, and I definitely don't wanna cut my fingers trying to get one more ring out of it. So these little rings are just going to go into one bowl. And then for this other half of the lemon, I'm just going to cut it into some quick wedges. And we're just going to use that really as more of a garnish at the end of the dish so that you can squeeze a little extra lemon all over everything. But we've got it here, so we might as well use it. I think I can get probably 8 good slices out of it. We're certainly not going to use all 8 slices to just make my one dinner, but I always like to have leftover lemons sliced up and ready. It's good for tea, it's good for garnishes for as you cook throughout the week. Okay, so these little guys, if I can get them all, are going to go into another bowl, and I'm just going to dry off my hands. Okay, so the prep work is done. I'm even just going to use this same cutting board because this is really how easy it is. You're going to take some foil, and you do want to use a pretty generous amount of foil. We're going to basically be making everything into one little foil packet, and you're going to do 1 packet per person. So you want to make sure that you have enough foil that you can put all of your vegetables, all of your salmon, fold it in half, and have some space to crinkle it all up in the end, because that's really what we're going to be doing here. I'm just gonna get that lemon out of the way. Okay, so I'll get that opened up, and I'm just going to, you know what, we'll put the vegetables right there and they can hold down the foil while we work. Okay, so first thing I'm going in with are green beans. And I'm just going to I like to do a good generous handful of green beans per person and just put them in a nice little pile. And on top of the green beans, or just really more like around the green beans scattered a bit, just a couple of carrots. Just a nice way to brighten things up a little bit. Certainly not going to use them all for one, but as many as you like. And the cool thing about this is you don't have to use green beans and carrots. You can use pretty much any vegetable that you like and that you have on hand. And what I'm doing today is I am using prepared green beans and baby carrots because they're already washed, they're already chopped, they're already ready to use. And that just makes it such a quick lifesaver when you need food in a hurry. But you can also use broccoli, you could use squash, really anything that you like, and not only fresh, but you can even use frozen prepared vegetables. So really use what you like, use what you have, use what's convenient for you, and that's what's going into these packets. So that's it with the vegetables. I'm just going to go on top of them with a little pinch of salt and a little bit of pepper. Just like that. And I'm going to do 1 ring of lemon. I'll actually use a slightly bigger one, just right on top like that. To this lemon, I am then going to put, actually, you know what, sorry, rethinking this a little bit. I'm going to do 2 rings of lemon. There we go. The next thing I'm doing is going in with some fresh dill, and I don't want to use these big long stems because they don't have a ton of flavor. So I'm just going to give it a little twist, get the stems off, and just kind of arrange the leaves. I'm not going to chop these finely because you're not actually going to eat the dill in this recipe. As it cooks, it's just going to help infuse all of the vegetables and the salmon, and that's what's going to give them a lot of flavor. It is fresh dill though, so you can be very generous with it. It's got a very mild, bright, almost grassy flavor, but when I say grassy, I do mean it in a good way. Totally delicious, and it is just a match made in heaven with fish. So speaking of fish, I am using salmon for this meal, but you can use really any light, flaky fish that you like. So I've done this with tilapia, trout, cod would be really good. In fact, I've even done this with shrimp a few times and it comes out delicious. So what I'm going to do is just season one side of my salmon with some salt. Oh, I'm doing it with my left hand. That feels a little weird, but it's still getting the job done. A little bit of pepper, and I'm just doing it right on top of the vegetables so that any extra seasoning just goes right onto the vegetables, waste not, want not. And then I'm just going to flip it over and put it directly on top of the lemon and the dill. And again, this is my salmon hand. I'm going to do a little bit more salt over the top. I'm gonna do a little extra because it's a bit harder to pinch with my left hand than it is with my right. There we go. Maybe a little extra pepper. Really, this is to taste, so however you like it is what you do. And guess what? This is it. This is dinner, pretty much already assembled and ready to go. I'll get those out of the way. So one other thing I want to note is that you, like I said, can play around with the fish, you can play around with the vegetables, you can even play around with the aromatics that are seasoning this while it cooks. So basically the sky is the limit. Any kind of citrus that you like, any kind of herbs that you like, feel free to mix and match and play around with it. You could even do some other spices and really explore other culinary regions, or really just clean out your spice cupboard in your fridge. Try it in a packet, it's probably going to be delicious. I'm sticking with the most basic starter version though. Once you're comfortable with it, don't be afraid to try to make it your own. Okay, so I'm going to next take the foil, fold it in half. I might even just pull it over ever so slightly so that I can kind of smash it down and make a bit of a dome. So next thing I'm going to do, I'll start on this side so you can see what I'm doing, is just kind of start crinkling it and rolling it up. And what you want to do is basically make kind of an airtight seal so that no steam can escape while it cooks. And you just go around. You can do it in a square, you can do it in a circle. I'll rotate it as I'm doing it so that you can see what's going on here. But before I go too far, I'm going to just open up a little bit of a vent. Again, I'll turn it so you can see what's happening. And I just like to take about 1 tablespoon of just water and throw it in there. And what that little bit of water is going to do is it's going to just generate some extra steam. That's going to help everything cook that much faster. That way you don't have to wait for the vegetables to start to break down and release their own steam. This helps to speed up the process. Now that that's done, I'm just going to finish crinkling, get everything in there nice and tight, just like that. And this is going to be one person's meal. So what's cool about this is you can, like I said, make it for one person or 100 people. You can even do this the night before if you know you're in for a busy day. Get everything in the fridge, and then when you are home and ready to cook, you just take your packets and throw them in the oven. We're at that stage now. So what I'm going to do for baking this is bake it at 425 degrees for about 10, maybe 15 minutes. I'm gonna play a little bit loose with that because really what it's going to depend on is when your salmon or your whatever fish you're using is ready. Really what you're looking for is the fish to be a little bit more firm, and it's gonna flake very easily if you poke it with a fork. Once you're there, you're done. So I will just, I've got a little tray in here. I'm going to pop this onto a tray, slide it into my oven, and I'm gonna set a timer. I'll start at 10 minutes. I'll give it a check. If it looks done, it's done. If it looks like it needs a few more minutes, I'll just cook it for a couple more minutes, and then we're ready to eat. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes. Let's open up this packet and see how it looks. I'll just carefully get that out of the oven. Okay, so one thing I want to warn you about is because it's so sealed up to prevent any steam from escaping, it's all going to come out in a big whoosh when you go to open this packet up. So be very, very careful you do not burn yourself. This is a high risk moment of making this meal. So you're just gonna start by loosening what you tightened up originally. And then eventually you'll see a spot that kind of starts to open up a little bit, and that's going to be where you can really start peeling it apart. So here comes all of that steam. Just let it vent for a second before you go back in there. And just very carefully, we will peel this back and peel it open. And look at that! In just 10 minutes, we've got some nice soft carrots. Green beans are looking great, and even if I just kind of pick at a corner of the salmon a little bit, it immediately flakes up, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So let me just dry my hands now because I've been poking everything. Okay, so to plate this up, I'm actually just going to move the salmon out of the way for a moment. You may notice too that when salmon especially does this, when it cooks, it'll sometimes get some little white sections on it. All that is just the fat and the oil that's naturally in the fish kind of coming together as it cooks. You can eat it, it's totally good for you. You can scrape it off if you don't like the look of it. It's basically just like fat on any meat, whether you eat it or trim it is entirely up to you. So all of that dill that we cooked with is stuck to the bottom of the salmon. I'm just going to peel it off and get it out of the way because it'd be kind of soggy and weird tasting and we don't want that. I'm just going to very carefully get that off to the side. Okay, so same thing with the lemons. They have served their purpose. We're done with that. And what I'm going to be serving with this tonight is just some plain steamed white rice, but you can use whatever side dish you like. This really does pair nicely with pretty much anything that you could think of to serve alongside it. So these vegetables though look fantastic, so I'm going to go in. This is really my one chance to get to play with my food is when I plate, so I like to have some fun with it. We'll just kind of go around with all of the green beans and make kind of a nice ring around the rice, like so. And I do love green beans. They are one of my favorite vegetables. I don't know how you feel about them. I'd love to hear in the comments down below. What do you think of green beans, or is there one that you like better that you think I should try cooking with next time? We'll do some carrots all around. This just looks so nice and bright and pretty, and it's amazing how much water is at the bottom of these packets because so much has steamed and so much, just the vegetables and the fish have all kind of just released the water and their juices. It's amazing. And the best part is we don't have to wash any dishes because when this is done, I just crumple it up in a ball and throw it away. That is my kind of meal. Okay, so we've got all of the vegetables arranged nicely. Now I'll go in with that salmon and just nestle it right on top of the rice. Look how pretty and fancy that is. And I mean, come on, I can't set the table faster than that meal is ready. Okay, so we'll get that out of the way. And now I just like to serve it garnished with a little wedge of lemon, maybe 2 because I personally like a lot of lemon. And what you do when you're ready to eat is you just squeeze it down all over everything and that will brighten the flavors back up. I even like to put the lemon on top of steamed rice. It gives it a lot of really good, just juicy flavor. And to make it extra fancy, we'll put a little sprig of dill right across the top. And how is that for a beautiful dinner in about 15 minutes? You can't beat that. And here we have my simple steamed salmon and vegetables. This recipe, as well as a link to a quick video on how to make steamed rice, can be found in the description below. I hope you enjoy this meal. Please like and subscribe for more videos. I'm Jessica. Thanks for watching.